personally Manchester City still trying to chase down Arsenal in the title race. But what about the win at Wembley at the weekend? Psychologically, how significant do you think City beating Arsenal in the Carabao Cup final could be, I guess, for both sets of players?
I think it was a huge statement, to be honest. Including myself, they were probably the underdogs. A lot of people thought Arsenal were in good momentum and probably was going to take the game to Man City, but you know, you can never write off a Pep Guardiola Manchester City team. He'd have had a plan on the day, and you know, that second half, it was just relentless. I've not seen Arsenal pinned back so much in one game, well, especially one half. And so in terms of the league, it gives them good momentum. And I always thought if they're in and around it with 6-7 games to go, they'll have a chance. The pressure's probably off them now, and the pressure's on Arsenal. So I can see a few more twists and turns coming.
Guys, you've been in a few situations yourself when you won the Premier League and chasing packs down. But I mean, how important was that result, do you think, on Sunday? I mean, obviously they have that game in hand, and it's round the corner, is it, the Arsenal? How big of a game is that? And sort of mind games towards Arsenal going into the closing stages. I mean, you know, chasing a pack's usually probably easier, I'd say. Not that I've ever chased one, but you all know all about it. You know, chasing teams down. Is that going to be so important, winning that game on Sunday for them possibly to win the title?
Yeah, I think it'll just bring unbelievable belief in the dressing room. You know, a lot of the noise was that the title possibly was over. So Pep probably would have looked at this game and thought, right, let's make a statement. Let's show what we've still got. And like you say, the pressure's off Manchester City, and probably all on Arsenal, having not won the title for a while. But you know, I go back to being in the dressing room when we were 8 points behind with 6 games to go, and you know, the pressure comes off you, and all of a sudden you find a little bit of momentum, and you know, they've still got to play Arsenal at the Etihad. That's, you know, 3-point swing possibly that way. So the belief will be coming back, and as I said earlier, a big statement brings momentum back, and there'll be quite a bit of confidence back in their dressing room.
Gareth, I must ask you about one of your old teammates at City.
We said Arsenal. I was certain Arsenal would win.
Well, to be
But why
honest,
can you be certain Arsenal were going to win? That's the most ridiculous thing you've ever said.
No, the one he does.
Are you as certain we're going to win?
I love your one.
Go on.
He goes, I fancy Arsenal to win, but never write off Pep Guardiola.
That's my point.
Every time, without fail.
No, but I went all in on Sunday.
You say that on every game.
No, but I went all in on Sunday.
But why?
I was certain Arsenal were going to win. I was certain Arsenal were going to win.
But why?
let me tell you, you know why I said as well? I said 3-1 was going to win. Obviously, once it started, it changed. But it changed. But like leading into it with the couple of weeks before, even the match staff and Eze scoring, there was no reason for us to believe that they're going to go to a game like that and not play to a certain level. I actually said, listen, even if we lose, as long as we lose it doing the right things, what's going to keep us going in the league.
Thought you'd win.
When did you say this? When you were on Sky?
On Sky, yeah.
When you worked for Sky, yeah?
No. I was on ITV on Sky.
Right.
So don't try and change it, right? I was on ITV for Sky.
He's
a hybrid.
I didn't actually.
Hybrid.
I don't even know. I don't even know if I got paid, to be honest.
Do you know what it
He just turns up at Wembley and he just...
I've thought for a number of years, you have to go and wound your direct opponent if you're going to go and win a league. I've thought that for years, right? And I thought, do you know something? They've got City 9 points in front in the league. City have dropped points in the league. City have just gone out of Europe against Real Madrid, and to be fair, it's been a difficult one for them. I thought, Arsenal, you've got them on the ropes here. This is where you really do drive.
It's a cup final, Nev.
I know, but just something you're thinking, this is the moment, Arsenal, where you've got to basically sort of make them think that it's now us. I couldn't believe that they didn't step up in the second half. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked, actually, at what I saw in the second half.
You know what?
That's what happens in these cup finals. It can be a big disappointment for certain teams. You just don't turn up. You know what I mean?
But you wouldn't, Arsenal, to be fair, quite reliable, Roy. You wouldn't expect them not to turn up. You think? I mean, Arsenal have been reliable for 2 years now. This team, they've been turning up. You know, a few.
That's
years.
why we fancied them before. I thought they would have been stronger.
No, but just generally, they don't let you down in games like they did on Sunday in the second half. They don't normally disappoint that much. I mean, that was a real freeze.
Last year against Newcastle over the 2 legs, never turned up in the cup matches last year. They have
What was
that
that,
cup
the
matches.
semi-final?
Their league record, obviously, in terms of being consistent, are brilliant.
That's last year. We're talking about Arsenal trying to finish off a Premier League season.
Oh, this year, going to go along nice.
8 games left? What is it, 7, 8 games left? You're not... what disappointed me more than anything else, I wasn't expecting the performance to be that low.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Not won a
I thought we'd at least have a go
Right,
at
this
it.
group, this group have never won a trophy. They're 6 years without a cup as a club. They've only won sort of like... I just think you've got City probably where you want them. I mean, Erling Haaland's statement before the game in that huddle...
Yeah.
Something, what was it?
He was saying, let's show the world.
Let's show the world we're still here.
We're still here.
We're still here.
That's not just to win the cup, by the way.
So they know that the pressure's on them in terms of thinking everyone thinks they've gone a little bit. Yeah. That's almost an admittance in some ways. And then Arsenal let them off the hook.
I think City wanted it more, though, do you not think? Because even in the times when I think Arsenal had a period in the first half, but City was still aggressive in the first and second balls, and I just think they wanted it more.
I don't know, Jill. I'm always wary when you said teams want it more. Listen, it was a big mistake by the goalkeeper. But if Arsenal go on and win the league, which we'll all agree they probably will do, you get over these disappointments.
I fancy City not because I think City are better. I just thought Arsenal's record this season, I think they'd only lost 3 games in 49.
Law of average is going on.
I just thought sometimes we've all been in teams and you're going along well, and you just now and again you lose a game, and that was the only thing I backed up with. But the thing that worried me, I don't think it'll affect the league because you've got such a big gap. If City hadn't dropped points, and that's easy to say.
Forest game a couple of weeks.
I think it could have had an effect. I just think the gap's too big now. Yeah, but my big thing about Arsenal all season is, and it's probably every team in the Premier League really, and we'll get to that with Salah, there's not enough special players, I think, in the Premier League. But when I look at Arsenal as the best team in this league, only lost 3 or 4 games in 50, which is an amazing record, I still look at your attack and just go, it's okay. There's no Salah. There's no star player. And I just think in that cup final, sometimes when you're not playing well, you need someone
like what Eze done for Palace last season.
Something special. And I just think you've got enough special players in the attack, and that would worry me a little bit for the Champions League.
Do you not think Saka's one of them players, though? I know he probably didn't have his best game.
No, but I thought 2 years ago, Saka and Odegaard were looking like, I was thinking, oh God, these are the real deal. These are like... This is going to be like Salah and De Bruyne type of, they're nearly there, and they just never sort of... The team are probably going to win the league, but I think if Arsenal win the league this season, I don't think one of the attacking players will go, I've had an amazing season, I've been brilliant this season. It just, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to have clicked.
You said just before, because we both thought Arsenal were going to win. You said even if they lose in the right way, but I think that way in which the second half went, where they didn't turn up, I think that will leave a little bit of a doubt there. Because, you said the gap's big. The gap, and we're talking hypothetically here, but the gap's 6 points if City win the game in hand, and City have got to play them at the Etihad. So City will be smelling a little bit of... And just in the second half on Saturday, I just thought... I thought first half was even. Did anyone think the first half was even, 50-50?
Yeah, especially that first chance that we had as well.
Half-time, I thought, just it's on track, this, for an Arsenal set-piece. But the way they started the second half, basically playing in their own box and just playing negatively and sort of not...
It was very slow.
It was slow.
And even, James, with that 2-4, right? Obviously, that's something that you said you've seen it before, and people have done it before. But do you think he'd done that because of Kepa? Because he was taking he was going a lot slower than normally. But I just felt like I just felt we couldn't get out.
We saw that in the Premier League a couple of years ago, where a lot of teams were doing sort of that setup. So when I saw it, it was a little like, okay, that was a couple of years ago. We saw teams doing that, where they used to have that almost not pressing, but almost just sort of blocking the passes into midfield. And sometimes something can surprise you. I was just so shocked that when Arsenal came off for the second half, there wasn't something different to play through it. And I thought that first 15, 20 minutes was so bad for Arsenal.
Bad,
Listen, City done great, and I thought Rodri and Bernardo Silva were amazing, fantastic. But I just thought it was so bad from Arsenal to allow City.
They didn't have to do much to be amazing. Actually.
I couldn't imagine City overpower. It felt like they were overpowering them. They couldn't get out their own half.
But the thing is that what we were doing is that, and then the ball's up into Gyökeres, kind of looped up, easily came back, and they were straight at us again. It just then Zubimendi, you have to look at his numbers. It's one of the worst games he's had for us. We didn't have anybody who can...
And they gave it away cheaply. So
and it just felt like one of those... It's the kind of a performance from an Arsenal side that you're not expecting to see anymore. And this is why... I was more like... How did I feel after it? I just felt... Why do I feel... I felt so sad. I felt like...
But when you're not at it and you're at Wembley, you can have an off day. You can have off days. We've all been there. We've all had cup finals where we go, it was a poor game and you hope for a mistake from somebody else, somebody to do something special. But I wouldn't, if I was an Arsenal, you'd be disappointed. I wouldn't be panicking. I wouldn't be panicking.
We'd be using that cup final, and you went on to win the league. And what was that, 2002,
3 maybe?
Was it? Yeah, 2000.
That was my worst ever cup final, that. I had a terrible game. I think you beat us 2-0, didn't you?
Oh.
2-0, yeah.
It was terrible. It was at Cardiff. We were shocking that day. And we didn't turn up. And look, you don't turn up in a cup final. It is unusual that a team that's reliable ordinarily doesn't turn up. But on Sunday, I just thought, if you're Arsenal's players, in 2002 when we lost that final, to be fair, we 2-3, we got a right kick up the backside after it, as you'd imagine. But there were a lot of players in that dressing room who'd been used to winning, who thought, right, OK, I've been there before, we've lost before in semi-finals and finals. I just wonder what that Arsenal dressing room, which hasn't won, that none of them have really won a trophy apart from maybe one or two, how did they come out of that? Maybe it's a good thing the international break's here, but how do they come out of that knowing that they've not rocked up in a big moment? Does that set a little bit of a doubt for the rest of the season? Does that give them a bit of a
Yeah, but the thing is that, like I say, from Arsenal fans, that you've got this massive build-up with everything that was going on with Max Down when he scored at Everton, and then you've got the Leverkusen goal and the win. So you're kind of feeling a little bit like, yes, and then we got the...
This is what the game does.
Yeah, but then this is what I'm saying is that, so what happens is with our players, and remember, we're talking about trying to finish off something we've been trying to finish for the last 3 seasons, and we're right in the middle of it now. And of course, there's going to be some doubts, but I think you have to still take the positives from it. Raya will come back, hopefully Martin Odegaard will come back.
What were the positives from Sunday?
Well, I can't look at too many positives from Sunday apart from the fact that we'll get players back. The goalkeeper will be back. Even the goal, the first goal, there's no way Raya makes that kind of mistake. So that doesn't happen. Maybe we could hang out till half time and then he might change it. He might change something. Maybe if Kai scores that goal, things might change a bit more confidence into the team. But like that mistake, then with the way the guys were playing, it just felt like City just felt like they could just
But I'm surprised that you're so surprised about the result, because what happens in football is you are going along nicely. You have got the momentum. Your form is great. Young lads are doing well. This is exactly what happens when you're going along nicely. A team like Man City trip you up. And we're talking about, it's not as if they lost a cup final to a Leicester team or a team like near in the bottom half.
I've not recognised that kind of...
That's what happens. But you'd rather happen there than in the next 2 or 3 games, in league games, where you go, oh my God, we're really off it now. It's a cup game. That's why they're called cup games. Anything can happen. Their league form is brilliant. I certainly wouldn't panic. But take your medicine as well. You've had you had bad days. Your memory plays tricks. You think every team turns out for a cup final and turns... Wembley can be a big pitch. If you're not quite at it, you do get shown up.
They've had a number of chances, Arsenal, over the last few years to wound their direct opponent late on in the season. They've not taken that chance. I just thought on Sunday that was a real big opportunity for them to sort of sit one on City. At a point where City were a little bit lower than they would be, there's a little bit of doubt there. I thought that was a real moment to step up. And to be fair, you can lose a game, I get what you're saying, but to not rock up and play in the second half and not even respond... Look, let's say you go 2-0 down, and that happened. And the keeper, to be fair, caused himself a problem when he come out for the one with Doku, I think. Was it Doku?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
He'd already sort of set the motion.
Yeah.
But when you go 2-0 down, you're even then at 2-0, I'm thinking, right, OK, I'm expecting a goal here from Arsenal.
Yeah,
a
like
response, I'm expecting it to be a little bit of a frantic last 10 minutes. We didn't get anything.
Yeah, but if you spoke to Arteta about it that night and the following, about his staff, I think you sit around with football and be going, what happened there, lads? You know what, you have to write it off.
You hope
do.
so. That's
of
all
course you do. You want players to come back, of course, and go. The priority for them, obviously, is winning that league.
Yeah, the only positive was it wasn't in the league.
Yeah.
You know, you lose.
And they played Man City up against Pep.
I know.
Why all of a sudden we think, well, Pep's... Man City probably should have won it down at Arsenal earlier this season. So as bad as City can be off it, when they turn it on like they did, they're still one of the best teams in the world.